Not everyone can find contentment inside this two-dimensional cubicle. You may be willing to let go of your routine, but there's one thing you can't let go of, and that's power. Horsepower. So here it is, the long awaited and the much anticipated 2015 Fiat Punto Abarth. I really have a soft spot for Fiat here because in my college days I owned the Fiat Punto, but that was the 1.3 multi-jet diesel. But this one here has got the Abarth treatment. In the late 1940s, in an Italian town called Turin, a man called Carlo Abarth gave birth to this brand, which initially built performance parts and accessories. Later in the 1970s, Abarth was bought by Fiat, and since then, Abarth is building performance cars for Fiat. The star here is the engine. Well, it's like the celebrity engine which you've always been knowing, and it was always present in the Linea as the T-Jet. And in this Abarth version of the T-Jet, what you get is a larger turbocharger, some minor engine tweaks, and some engine tuning to make it produce 145 healthy horses with 212 Newton meters of torque. And 145 horses is not less by any standards in a hatchback, be it international or the Indian market. 145 horses is a lot for a hatchback. This Abarth, if driven properly with a perfect shift every time, you'll do the 0 to 100 sprint in under 9 seconds. 8.8 to be precise. That's what Fiat quotes. Though there is no turbo lag which needs to be reported here, but actually the turbo spools in just under 2000 RPM and you can cleanly pull up to 6000 RPM. There's literally no need to go onto the red line at 6500 RPM because the meat of the power band lies just around 2000 to 5500, 6000 RPM. But every time if you upshift the gear, maybe just before the red line or around 5500 RPM, you'll be banged back into that meat of the power band, which is really good and characteristic of this turbo petrol motor. And so the engine definitely performs really good when you want to rev it hard. But at cruising speeds, at maybe say 100 kilometers per hour, perfectly at 2500 RPM, and it's bound to give you good fuel economy as well at that time. And pardon me if I'm actually talking about something irrelevant like a fuel economy when I'm reviewing the Abarth here, but yes, the engine is really good for cruising as well. The only thing which I would like to change is the gearbox. And I really wish I could cut copy paste a slick shifting German gearbox instead of what Fiat has provided us with in this Abarth. Now coming to the next good part about this Abarth, which is the steering. The steering is so pure that it seems its main purpose in life is to tell you what exactly the tires are doing on the road and communicate back via this beautiful steering wheel with this small little Abarth logo in the middle. Coming to the handling, every time I put the Abarth hard into the corner, the car seems to tell me, oh yes, I can do that. And if I even want to go harder, the car responds to me by saying, yes, I can even do that as well. Well, the steering gets a lot of credit here, but the credit also goes to the suspension. The car has been lowered by 30 mm and now the ground clearance stands at 155 mm. Fiat also says the car's suspension and the dampers have been stiffened up to make it perform really good. The brakes also feel sensationally powerful and adequate thanks to the all-round disc setup. So probably if you overcook it by any chance, they will surely save your neck. Well, yes, the car understeers a lot. Well, that's bound to happen with this kind of power. And it's very controllable though. But when you're buying the Abarth, you know what you're up against. So many may think the Scorpion may sting you back, but I'll put it in a very simple manner. The Abarth Punto is very easy to drive fast. As we are talking about the less good bits on this Abarth Punto, we have to mention the tires. But before I start criticizing the tires, let me tell you this. I'm very impressed with these Apollos. Because before starting to drive this car, I thought these Apollos would be really bad on the car. But to my surprise, these are really performing very well. and for an Indian make, it's absolutely amazing. But at the same time, with this kind of power, you need 205 section tires. These are 195s, and I think the 205 will really transform the entire driving feel. It will probably give you a better 0 to 100 timing as well. It will give you much more confidence at higher speeds and cornering ability. Being an Abarth, the car is expected to sound dramatic, which is missing here. Well, to be honest, I tried capturing these exhaust sounds with the help of my GoPro, but all I could manage was only wind noise. But to give benefit of doubt to Fiat here, which car in the Indian market under 10 lakhs has had a sporty exhaust sound? I can't recall any. So I think we'll give Fiat that benefit. So if you want a loud sounding exhaust, go to the aftermarket and get one. To compensate the muted exhaust, the engine makes all the right sounds when you're driving hard. Fiat has taken the perfect hatch from the Indian scenario, and with this Abarth treatment made it unforgettable. This emotional appeal continues with the interiors. It gets traditional red and yellow stitching of the Abarth on the seats, and a lot of Abarth branding. Though it is surprising that the Abarth has not got offered the 6.5-inch touchscreen which is now offered in the Punto Evo. So for people who are still not convinced whether to go in for the Fiat Punto Abarth or not, we have this short segment right here for you. To simplify the buy decision on the Fiat Punto Abarth, we are going to perform a quick SWOT analysis on the Abarth. So as you know, we are going to discuss the strengths, weakness, opportunity and threat of this Abarth. Starting off with the strengths first, the engine is definitely the Abarth Punto's major strength. The next up is the handling, and thanks to the beautiful hydraulic steering, the handling becomes a great strength. Next is the pricing. Well, the Abarth is really value for money, and it has got the best rupee per BHP ratio. The next up are the weaknesses. The gear shift. Well, mind you, the gearbox is really good. It's having amazingly spec gear ratios. But I mean the gear shift quality. It's really rubbery, and I think it needed a much better shifting gearbox than what it currently has. Next is the features. The basic minimum features like the rear parking sensors are also missing, which is a real drawback for the Punto Abarth. The tires. Even the linear T-Jet, which was having much less horsepower, is having 205 section tires. Well, for the matter, the Fiat Aventura Abarth is also having 205s. And then why is this having 195s? So it definitely becomes a weakness for the Abarth Punto. Coming to the opportunity, well, there have been many hatchbacks who have tried to take a dig into the hot hatch segment, but very few have actually been as pure as the Fiat Punto Abarth. I really believe that Fiat has a direct access to this untapped purist market, which it can take good advantage of. Coming to the threats now, well, the VW Polo GTI, which will be launched around mid-2016, is the only threat which the Fiat Punto Abarth has. But mind you, the VW Polo will be only launched around 16 to 17 lakh ex-showroom pricing. So considering that, the Abarth Punto is still a really good buy. So these are all the points here in front of you which will simplify your buy decision. I truly feel that Fiat has a strong fan base here, and by bringing in this Abarth brand at this price point, I think this is Fiat's way of saying thank you to all the Fiat fans, and I really believe the Scorpion has finally returned. After driving this car, I am convinced that there is a pleasure center in the brain which remains untapped till you drive the Fiat Punto Abarth. It is an awfully nice package for people who understand the mechanical essence of things. In my real opinion, cars like these are only made once every 5 or 10 years. What Fiat has done for the Indian market is they have created a legend in the name of the Fiat Punto Abarth.